Have you ever caught your partner in a blatant lie, the kind that shatters your world, only to turn that heartbreak into the most calculated, ice-cold revenge imaginable? Picture this. Your live-in girlfriend claims she's off visiting family 600 miles away, but there she is, laughing on a restaurant patio with her ex, oblivious to you watching from the shadows. What happens next? I didn't scream or confront her on the spot. No, I played the long game, packed up my life, and left her with nothing but a pile of her own clothes and the shock of a lifetime. If betrayal stories with epic payoffs are your jam, buckle up. This one's a legend. Hey folks, welcome back to Revenge Chronicles, where we turn real Reddit tales of injustice into heart-pounding narratives that leave you cheering for karma. If you've ever been stabbed in the back by someone you trusted and fantasized about that perfect comeback, hit that like button right now, subscribe if you're new, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Trust me, this one's going to have you fist-pumping by the end. Let's dive in. My name is Alex Turner. I was 28 at the time, working as a mid-level software engineer in Seattle, pulling in a decent salary that let me afford a cozy 2-bedroom apartment in Capitol Hill. It wasn't luxurious. Think exposed brick walls, a kitchen that always smelled faintly of coffee, and a balcony overlooking the bustling streets below. But it was ours. Or at least, that's what I thought. Sarah and I had been together for 3 years, living together for 2. She was 26, a graphic designer with a freelance gig that kept her glued to her laptop most days. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue. She had this infectious laugh, curly auburn hair that caught the sunlight, and a way of making even the most mundane conversations feel like an adventure. In the early days, we'd stay up late talking about dreams, me wanting to climb the tech ladder, her aiming to start her own design studio. We were that couple, the ones who finished each other's sentences, shared inside jokes, and planned weekend hikes in the Cascades. But relationships aren't always fairy tales, right? About 6 months before everything blew up, we hit a rough patch. Work stress was piling on for both of us. I'd come home exhausted from debugging code all day, and she'd be frustrated with picky clients. Arguments started small, over who forgot to take out the trash or why the dishes were piling up, but they escalated. She'd snap at me for not being present, and I'd retreat into silence, feeling like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. Intimacy dried up. Our bed felt like a no man's land, with her scrolling on her phone until she fell asleep, back turned to me. I suggested couples therapy once, over a tense dinner of takeout Chinese, but she brushed it off. "We're fine, Alex, just busy." Her voice was clipped, her eyes avoiding mine, and I felt that first twinge of doubt, like a knot in my stomach that wouldn't untie. Looking back, the signs were there, but love makes you blind or maybe just hopeful. She'd started going out more with friends from work, coming home late smelling of wine and perfume that wasn't hers. Her phone buzzed constantly, and she'd angle the screen away when I walked by. I chalked it up to stress, told myself I was being paranoid. But deep down, that knot tightened. Powerlessness crept in, the kind where you question your own sanity. Was I overreacting? Was this just a phase? Every night, lying awake staring at the ceiling fan whirring above, I'd replay our conversations, my heart racing with a mix of fear and denial. Betrayal isn't just about the act. It's the slow erosion of trust, the disrespect of being treated like you're too dumb to notice. Then came the weekend that changed everything. Sarah packed a suitcase one Friday morning, claiming she was heading to her parents' place in Portland, about 600 kilometers south, a solid 8-hour drive. "I need some space to clear my head," she said, pecking me on the cheek without meeting my eyes. Her voice was casual, but there was an undercurrent, a nervousness in how she fidgeted with her keys. "Mom's been bugging me to visit anyway. I'll be back in a week." I nodded, forcing a smile, though my gut twisted. "Drive safe. Call when you get there." She hugged me quickly, too quickly, and was out the door, her car pulling away with a honk that echoed in my chest like a finality. That afternoon, I tried to distract myself. Work was slow, so I grabbed my bike and headed downtown for some fresh air. Seattle's streets were alive with the usual chaos. Rain-slicked sidewalks, the aroma of street food vendors mixing with exhaust, tourists snapping photos of the Space Needle in the distance. I pedaled aimlessly, my mind replaying our last fight, her accusing me of not supporting her dreams, me biting back that she never asked how my day was. The betrayal stung even then, before I knew the half of it. I stopped at a coffee shop near Pike Place Market, ordered a latte, and scrolled through social media on my phone. That's when I saw it, a story post from a mutual friend, tagged at a trendy rooftop restaurant just a few blocks away. And there, in the background of the photo, was Sarah, laughing, her head thrown back, clinking glasses with a guy I recognized immediately. Her ex, Jake. The one she'd sworn was ancient history when we started dating. My blood ran cold. The coffee cup trembled in my hand, hot liquid sloshing over the rim and burning my fingers, but I barely felt it. Internal dialogue raced. This can't be real. Maybe it's a coincidence? No, that's her laugh, her favorite red dress, the one she wore on our first anniversary. My heart pounded like a drum in my ears, vision narrowing to that single image. I zoomed in, confirming the details. His arm around her waist, her hand on his knee. The disrespect hit like a punch, lying about family, sneaking around in our own city while I sat at home worrying about us. Powerlessness surged. I felt small, discarded, like all those years meant nothing. But beneath the hurt, a spark ignited, anger, sharp and clarifying. I wasn't going to let this destroy me. I hopped back on my bike, pedaling furiously toward the restaurant. My legs burned, sweat mixing with the light drizzle, but adrenaline pushed me. I spotted them on the patio from across the street. Sarah twirling her hair, Jake leaning in too close, their laughter carrying over the traffic noise. I parked behind a van, pulled out my phone and snapped photos. Clear shots of their faces, the intimate touches, the date stamp proving she was supposed to be in Portland. Each click felt like reclaiming a piece of my dignity. My hands shook, not from fear, but from the raw surge of betrayal turning to resolve. She underestimated me, thought I'd swallow her lies forever. But in that moment, hiding in the shadows, I decided, this ends on my terms. I rode home in a daze, the photos burning a hole in my pocket. The apartment felt different now. Her scarf on the coat rack, her mug in the sink, like relics of a lie. I sat on the couch, staring at the wall, my mind whirling. We were on a month-to-month lease. I'd signed it alone when she moved in, figuring it was simpler. It required 60 days' notice to vacate. She wasn't on the paperwork anywhere. A plan formed, cold and precise, like debugging a stubborn code error. I'd give notice, find a new place, and execute it all while playing the part of the oblivious boyfriend. No explosive confrontation. That would give her power. Instead, I'd let her dig her own grave, building the tension until the perfect reveal. First, I called my landlord, Mr. Reynolds, a gruff but fair guy in his 60s who'd always been straight with me. "Hey, Alex, what's up?" he answered, his voice gravelly from years of smoking. I explained the situation in hushed tones, showing him the photos via email. He whistled low. "Damn, kid, that's rough. What do you need?" I laid out the plan. Give notice immediately, but keep it quiet. He'd show the apartment to new tenants only when Sarah was out. "You're a good tenant," he said after a pause. "I'll play along. Just make sure it's clean when you go." Relief washed over me, mixed with a grim satisfaction. The pieces were falling into place. Sarah called that night, her voice bubbly over the phone. "Hey, babe. Made it to Mom's safe. Miss you already." The lie slithered through the line, making my skin crawl. I forced calm. "Good to hear. How's the family?" We chatted superficially, her laughing about some made-up story from her drive. Inside, my thoughts raged. How long has this been going on? Does she think I'm an idiot? But I kept it light, ending with, "Love you." The words tasted like ash. Over the next week, while she was away, I scouted new apartments. I found a sleek one-bedroom in Belltown, modern kitchen, gym access, closer to work. Signed the lease quietly, paying the deposit with savings she'd never touched. I started packing subtly, boxing books and clothes in the spare room, labeling them as storage cleanup. My heart ached during those solitary nights, the silence of the apartment amplifying my loneliness. But the craving for justice kept me going. Validation. That's what I needed. Proof that I wasn't the fool she made me out to be. When Sarah returned, tan and smiling, lugging her suitcase, I greeted her with a hug that felt mechanical. How was the trip? I asked, watching her eyes for flickers of guilt. Refreshing, she said, dropping her bag with a thud. We should do something like that together soon. The irony burned. Over the following weeks, I played distant but not hostile. Mentioned couples therapy casually over breakfast one morning. Hey, maybe we should see someone. Work through this rough patch. She paused, fork midway to her mouth, then shrugged. Yeah, maybe. I'm swamped with work right now. Her tone was evasive, her eyes darting to her phone, which buzzed with a text she quickly silenced. Frustration built, her continued bad behavior escalating the tension. She'd go out late, claiming girls' night or crashing at a friend's. I'd nod. Okay, have fun. While inside, fury simmered. She's still seeing him. The disrespect was infuriating, treating our home like a hotel, me like a doormat. Sex? Not on the table. She'd roll over at night, sighing dramatically, and I'd pretend to be asleep, my body tense with unspoken rage. Physical sensations haunted me, the clench in my jaw when she'd lie about her day, the heavy weight in my chest during quiet dinners where conversation lagged. Internal monologue was relentless. She's underestimating you. Let her. Build the trap. Sympathy for myself grew. I wasn't the villain. I was the one fighting for fairness after being wronged. Mr. Reynolds was a champ. He'd text me when Sarah was at work. Showing at 2 p.m.? Prospects came by discreetly, young couples, professionals, admiring the space while I worked from home in the bedroom, door closed. One evening, Sarah came back early, nearly catching a viewing, but Reynolds stalled her in the lobby with small talk about building maintenance. Close call, but it fueled my determination. The 60 days ticked down like a bomb timer. I hired movers for the final day, a professional crew recommended by a friend, paid extra for early morning start and discretion. As the weeks wore on, Sarah's behavior grew bolder. One night, she didn't come home at all, texting at midnight, staying at Lisa's, too much wine. I replied, no worries. But my fingers gripped the phone so hard the screen cracked slightly. The powerlessness peaked. How dare she? But I channeled it into the plan, packing her oblivious to the boxes stacking in the closet. Moving day dawned crisp and clear, Seattle's rare winter sun filtering through the blinds. The movers arrived at 7 a.m., burly guys in uniforms hauling boxes with efficient grunts. The apartment filled with the sounds of tape ripping, furniture shifting, the scent of cardboard mixing with my morning coffee. Sarah stirred in bed, rubbing her eyes as she wandered out in her pajamas, hair tousled. What's going on? She yawned, confusion creasing her brow. I stood in the living room, arms crossed, heart thundering but voice steady. The moment had arrived, the tension I'd built for weeks ready to snap. We're moving, I said simply, watching her face shift from sleepy to alarmed. We? What do you mean? She glanced at the movers wrapping my couch, our couch, but technically mine, bought before she moved in. No, Sarah, I'm moving. I pulled out the printed photos from my pocket, fanning them on the kitchen counter like a winning hand. Clear shots, her with Jake, laughing, touching, time-stamped the day she was in Portland. Her eyes widened, color draining from her face. She snatched one, hands trembling. Alex, this isn't... I can explain. Explain what? That you lied about visiting family? That you've been cheating with your ex while I sat here trying to fix us? My voice rose slightly, but I reined it in. Cool demeanor was key. Inside, triumph surged, hot and sweet, washing away the months of doubt. She stammered, tears welling. It was a mistake. We were on a break. We weren't on anything. You made that choice. The doorbell buzzed. Mr. Reynolds, right on cue, stepping in with his clipboard. Morning, folks. Alex, everything set? He turned to Sarah, expression neutral but firm. Ma'am, since you're not on the lease, you've got until midnight to get your things out. New tenants move in 2 days. I need to clean. Anything left goes to the curb. Her mouth gaped, shock turning to panic. What? You can't... This is my home, too. Not legally, I said, gesturing to the pile the movers had already separated. Her clothes, toiletries, a few knickknacks, heaped in the center of the room like discarded trash. The rest, furniture, appliances, even the TV, was mine, loaded into boxes. I snapped one final photo with my phone. Her standing there, disheveled, the pile at her feet symbolizing the ruin of her lies. Her eyes flashed with humiliated fury, but she was powerless now, underestimated the wrong guy. She lunged for the phone, sobbing. "Delete that! You can't do this!" "I already did." The movers continued, ignoring the drama, hauling my life out the door. Relief flooded me, validation in her shattered expression, triumph in reclaiming my space, my future. No more disrespect, no more lies. I walked out with the last box, leaving her to scramble, the door clicking shut behind me like freedom. In the end, revenge isn't about destruction. It's about balance. Sarah got what she earned, a harsh lesson in consequences. Me? I moved on, stronger, with friends toasting my legendary cool. Karma's real, folks, and sometimes it packs your bags for you. Whew, what a ride, right? If that payoff gave you those satisfying chills, smash that like button and share this video with anyone who's been through heartbreak. Drop in the comments, what's your wildest revenge story? Did a cheater ever get what they deserved in your life? I read everyone. And don't forget, subscribe for more epic Reddit revenge tales dropping weekly. Hit the bell so you never miss out. Until next time, stay strong and remember, betrayal might sting, but justice? That's forever sweet. Peace out. Control 12 Zhao's video title. Suggestions. 1. Girlfriend cheated with ex while visiting family, so I moved out and left her with nothing but a pile of clothes. 2. Betrayed by live-in GF, I executed the ultimate silent revenge and made her regret everything. Thumbnail text suggestions. 1. Cheater's epic downfall. 2. Left her homeless. Have you ever walked into a moment that shatters your entire world only to transform that gut-wrenching betrayal into a masterclass of cold, calculated revenge? Imagine spotting your live-in girlfriend who swore she was 600 miles away visiting family, cozied up on a restaurant patio with her ex, laughing like you never existed. I didn't confront her then. Instead, I snapped proof, went home, and orchestrated a plan so precise, so devastating, that by the time she realized what was happening, her life in our home was reduced to a pathetic pile on the floor. If you've ever been cheated on and dreamed of that perfect payback, this story's for you. It's legendary, and it's real. Hey everyone! Welcome to Revenge Redux, your go-to channel for emotionally charged tales from Reddit where the underdogs rise, the betrayers fall, and justice tastes oh so sweet. If you've ever felt the sting of infidelity or the burn of being underestimated by someone you loved, smash that like button now to show your support. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell for notifications. We're diving into one of the most satisfying cheating revenge stories out there. Get ready to feel every twist, every heartache, and that glorious triumph at the end. Let's jump in. Let me take you back to the beginning, because to understand the depth of the betrayal and the sweetness of the revenge, you need to know how it all started. My name is Ryan Caldwell. I was 28 years old, living in Denver, Colorado, working as a project manager for a mid-sized construction firm. Life was steady, if not spectacular. I had a decent salary that afforded me a comfortable 2-bedroom apartment in the Lodo district. Think trendy lofts with high ceilings, exposed ductwork, and a balcony that overlooked the bustling streets filled with craft breweries and street art. The rent wasn't cheap, but it was worth it for the vibe. Mornings with the scent of fresh coffee wafting from downstairs cafes, evenings with the hum of city life seeping through the windows. It was the kind of place that felt like a fresh start when I moved in 3 years earlier, fresh out of a string of bad dates and ready for something real. That's where Sarah came in. We met at a local art festival in the summer of 2018. I was wandering through booths of paintings and sculptures, nursing a craft beer, when I spotted her at a stall selling handmade jewelry. She was 26, with sun-kissed blonde hair tied in a messy ponytail, wearing a flowy sundress that caught the breeze, and eyes that sparkled like she held all the secrets to happiness. She was chatting animatedly with the artist, her laugh cutting through the crowd like a melody. I don't know what possessed me. I'm not the bold type, but I walked over, pretending to admire a necklace. "That one would look great on you," I said, pointing to a silver pendant with a turquoise stone. She turned, smiled, and replied, "Really? I was thinking the same. You have good taste." Her voice was warm, inviting, with a slight southern lilt from her childhood in Texas before her family moved west. We hit it off instantly. Turned out she was a marketing coordinator for a startup downtown, passionate about design and travel. Our first date was that same evening, a spontaneous picnic in City Park with food from a nearby food truck. We talked for hours, about her dream to backpack through Europe, my love for hiking in the Rockies, our shared hatred for bad coffee. She leaned in close as the sun set, her hand brushing mine, and I felt that spark, the kind that makes your heart race and your stomach flip. By the end of the night, we were kissing under the stars, and I knew this was different. Sarah was vibrant, adventurous, the kind of person who made ordinary days feel extraordinary. She had this way of making me feel seen, like my opinions mattered, my jokes were funny, my ambitions were achievable. The early months were bliss. We'd cook dinners together in my kitchen, her chopping vegetables while I stirred the sauce, laughing over spilled wine. Weekends were filled with road trips to Boulder for climbing or lazy brunches at hole-in-the-wall spots. Intimacy was electric, nights tangled in sheets, her whispering how safe she felt with me. I remember one evening, about 6 months in, when she looked at me over candlelight and said, "Ryan, you're my person. I don't know what I'd do without you." My chest swelled with warmth, a sense of belonging I'd never had before. We talked about the future, moving in together, maybe a dog, travels to places like Italy or Japan. When she officially moved into my apartment a year later, it felt natural. Her clothes filled the closet, her art books lined the shelves, and the space transformed from mine to ours. Friends envied us. We were the couple who hosted game nights, the ones always tagged in happy photos on social media. But fairy tales don't last forever, do they? Cracks started showing around the 2-year mark. Work ramped up for me, long hours on site, dealing with delays and demanding clients. I'd come home exhausted, muscles aching from the day, craving nothing more than a quiet night on the couch. Sarah's job shifted too. Her startup hit a growth spurt, meaning more events, more networking. At first, it was minor annoyances, me forgetting to pick up groceries, her snapping about the mess in the living room. But those snowballed. One night, after a particularly grueling day, I suggested ordering pizza. She rolled her eyes, arms crossed tightly over her chest. "Again? Ryan, do you even care about us anymore? You're always tired, always distant." Her words stung, hitting that insecure spot deep inside. I fired back. "And you're always out. What about that work dinner last week that lasted until 2 a.m.? My voice rose, frustration boiling over, hands gesturing wildly. The argument escalated, her accusing me of not supporting her career, me feeling like she was pulling away. Body language spoke volumes, her turning her back during talks, me slumping on the couch with a heavy sigh. Physical sensations amplified the pain, a tightness in my throat when she'd dismiss my concerns, a hollow ache in my chest lying awake beside her silent form. Intimacy vanished. Our bed became a battlefield of unspoken resentments. I'd reach for her, and she'd murmur, "Not tonight. I'm exhausted," rolling away, leaving me staring at the ceiling, thoughts swirling. Is this my fault? Am I not enough? The powerlessness was suffocating, the disrespect of being treated like an afterthought in my own home. Hints of something worse crept in. Her phone became a constant companion, buzzing at odd hours. She'd smile at the screen, typing furiously, then lock it face down when I entered the room. "Just work stuff," she'd say, but her eyes avoided mine, a flicker of guilt she quickly masked. Late nights increased. Meeting clients for drinks, or crashing at Emily's, girls' night ran long. The scents clung to her, unfamiliar cologne mixed with wine, making my stomach churn. I'd nod. "Okay, have fun." But inside, doubt gnawed like a persistent itch. Friends noticed, too. My buddy Mike pulled me aside at a bar one night. "Dude, Sarah's been posting stories from places she didn't mention to you. You okay?" I brushed it off, but the seed was planted. Betrayal's early stages aren't dramatic. They're the slow drip of disrespect, underestimation, making you question your worth. I tried to fix it. Suggested couples therapy over breakfast one morning, the kitchen filled with the aroma of fresh pancakes I'd made as a peace offering. "Sarah, things have been off. Maybe talking to someone could help?" She paused, fork hovering, then set it down with a clink. Ryan, we're fine, it's just stress. Therapy's for broken people. Her tone was dismissive, a slap to my vulnerability. That hurt more than the arguments. The invalidation, like my feelings were an inconvenience. Powerlessness peaked. I felt like a passenger in my own relationship, craving justice, validation that I deserved better. Then came the tipping point. Sarah announced a trip to visit family in Salt Lake City, about 600 kilometers away, a week's escape to clear her head. She packed hurriedly, suitcase zipping shut with finality. "Mom needs help with some stuff," she said, hugging me loosely. "I'll call when I get there." Her eyes darted, hands fidgety, a nervousness I mistook for travel jitters. I waved as her car pulled away, the knot in my gut tightening. That afternoon, restless, I headed out for a walk in Washington Park, the air crisp with fall leaves crunching underfoot. Stopped at a cafe for a sandwich, scrolled Instagram, and there it was. A story from a casual acquaintance tagged at a trendy patio restaurant downtown. In the background, Sarah, head thrown back in laughter, clinking glasses with her ex, Tom, the guy she'd dated before me, the one she called toxic, but in the past. My world tilted. Sandwich forgotten, I zoomed in, her hand on his arm, his smile too intimate. Heart pounding, vision blurring with hot tears of rage, I felt the betrayal like a physical blow, chest constricting, breath short. Internal thoughts screamed, how long, why him, am I nothing? The underestimation fueled fury. She thought I'd never find out, that her lies were foolproof. I grabbed my keys, drove to the restaurant, parking a block away. Peered from behind a tree. There they were, cozy under umbrellas, her twirling hair, him leaning in. Snapped photos, clear, damning, time-stamped. Each shutter click was therapy, reclaiming control. Hands steady despite the storm inside, I drove home, plan forming. The apartment felt tainted, her perfume lingering, her mug in the sink mocking me. I called the landlord, Mr. Ellis, a solid guy I'd bonded with over building fixes, explained, sent photos. "Ryan, that's brutal, what can I do?" Lease was month to month, 60 days notice, her name absent. Gave notice that night, scouted new places online, a studio in Rhino, artsy and fresh. While she was away, I packed subtly, heart heavy, but resolve steel. She returned acting normal. I played along, distant hugs, casual talks, mentioned therapy again. We could use it. She waved it off. Late nights continued. I'd say okay, plotting. Ellis showed the apartment when she was out, texts coordinating. Tension built, her boldness infuriating, my cool mask cracking privately. Moving day, movers at dawn, boxing my life. Sarah emerged, confused, laid out photos. Explain. Shock, tears. Ellis. Out by midnight. Snapped pic of her pile. Triumph surged. Her humiliation, my validation. Revenge is balance. I moved on. She's a cautionary tale. If that gave chills, like and comment your revenge stories. Subscribe for more. Peace.